Welcome to the Aceman, everybody. It's time to go behind the funny. This is Scott Higgins.
And this is Ace Aceto.
And thank you for joining us. Thank you for downloading us. Thank you for subscribing. We appreciate it so very much. And if you have a moment, please give us that 5-star written review wherever you download your podcast. It's a great way to help the podcast. If you want to help us out another way, tell a friend. We all learn about podcasts from our friends' recommendations, and that's a way you can help us out by recommending us to a friend.
And the last way, if you really enjoy the show, is to go to our Patreon page and become a patron. And that is at www.patreon.com/behindthefunny. And what that will get you, it's one simple giving level, $5 a month. That will get you a t-shirt or a mug, some sort of merchandise, as well as unlocking bonus content that only our patrons can access.
Thank you so much for supporting us. If you want to reach out, you got a question for us, you got a comment, anything, please send us an email at behindthefunnypod@gmail.com.
And now, enjoy the show.
Be careful. He's
and Scott Higgins, both of them coked up out of their minds.
Listen to you. He's down in the basement.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I think we should call this the Acement.
The Acement, yes.
Yeah, what do you think there, huh?
I like that. The Acement Studios.
Excuse me, I'm drinking beer. Hold on a second.
We usually drink bourbon on our end
Yeah,
when we
right.
do the podcast, so
That's all right.
feel free to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You shoot an 8-ball if you want. We don't care, as long as it's good stories.
And we are aceless this week in the Acement, as you can tell. Joining me is two of our favorites, and one of them has never been in the Acement before. She's only been allowed in the garage before.
And only when at freezing temperatures.
You probably should use a microphone.
That's true. Oh, that's right.
I know you're not used to speaking into a microphone.
I'm not used to that. No, this is all new for me.
Yeah.
So I'm not used to actually having. I don't even think I had headphones last time. Was I allowed to have headphones?
No, you didn't have headphones
No, I didn't
last
have
time.
headphones.
I was the only one
and-
with headphones last time.
Yeah,
So
I'm not allowed to have anything. I'm surprised. The only reason I'm here is because we
Here
pretty
we
much
go.
broke into Ace's house.
yeah, well, I'll get the window fixed before he gets back, so that's not a problem. But thank you, Rhonda, for joining us, and I'm so happy to have you back. Rhonda has been, if you go back a couple of seasons, we had her in for her own episode. When we first started going live online, she joined us because she was the one that turned us on to this great broadcasting platform called StreamYard. So she trained us and taught us on this, and as you know, I am not as keen to the production as Ace is, but I'm going to do the best I can. And then, of course, returning favorite, Roman Pierce, who always is a great guest and a great contributor of the show. Thank you guys for joining us. And this week, Ace, if you're watching from afar, I have served the Four Roses single barrel bourbon this week because I want our guests to have the best. All right, so that's what we're having for our bourbon date for this week. So thank you guys so much for being here. This is so much fun. I always love hanging with you guys. Rhonda and I have had some good talks lately when we were doing those open mics and everything like that.
We have. Yes,
and
we have.
I'll share this story with our fans. There was a weekend we did a show together, and then later that night we did an open mic, and Ace was doing the open mic as well. And they spread the three of us out throughout the mic with the new people to kind of, blend it all in, which is fine. And they had Ace on like third, and he wasn't there yet. He was showing up like at the last minute. And I said to the guy running the show, I said, hey, if Ace is not here, I'll just throw me up and I'll do his spot and you can put him on later. So we're sitting over in the booth hanging out. She's going over her notes and we're chatting and stuff. And first person goes up, second person goes up, and it's Ace's turn. The guy starts introducing Ace as Ace is walking in the door. He doesn't even have time to breathe the inside air of the room as they're introing him. And he goes up and he's like, oh, wow, yeah, I wasn't ready for that. And he's got to go into it. And, you know, again, we talk about it all the time. Comedians love to watch their friends struggle on stage. But like the pro that he is, he turned it around. He did some new stuff I've never seen him do before. It did really well, and you know, had a good set, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. But at first, watching him sit there and his head kind of spinning for a minute, trying to center himself, oh, we loved every second of
It
that.
was fun. Yeah, that is fun.
Now, Rhonda, you got a new open mic you've been doing.
Yes, with Mike Murray.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I love Mike. So
Listen, Rhonda. Okay. Is this cool or what?
I love everybody's Mike Murray impression.
Yeah, because nobody is really that good at it.
No.
But we all, you know, exaggerate his cadences. So
That's why it's so funny. But
yeah.
so we actually started it's a G-rated.
Yes,
open
a clean,
mic.
clean comedy open mic.
Clean comedy open mic.
Which I love that idea. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, at the Park Place Cafe. So it's right outside of the comedy park.
Yep.
And
In Cranston, Rhode Island, if you guys are in the area and you do it.
I think it's 848 is the address, Park Ave. And we do this every Wednesday night. We actually just changed the time. The doors open at 6. The list is going out at 6:30, and we're starting at 7.
Okay.
Which is nice, so we can, you know,
Reasonable time, yeah.
So you can get home earlier, you know. But
Now, is this, and we love the guy, John Parada, we love you. Do you have a certain number you stick to each week, or are you guys just kind of playing it by ear right now with whoever shows up? You're kind of giving them time, you know, type of thing, or how is it? How are you running it?
Right now it's actually been working out. Like we kind of have like 2 hours to play with. So,
Okay. You're keeping it to that 2 hour
and we're
time
trying
limit.
to keep it to the 2 hours, and it's really been working out. We've had a lot of comics coming, and what's really cool is just watching them try out clean material.
Right.
Because a lot of times you're asked to do clean, right?
Yep.
And most comics don't have that much time with clean, so you can't get the job.
No, you're right. I just booked a fundraiser in November at this synagogue, and they want a clean set. And they asked first if I was Jewish, and I'm not, unfortunately. And they said, can you get a Jewish headliner? So I got a Jewish headliner that can do 45 minutes clean.
Right.
And now I need to find one other person that can do, and I'll do whatever spot's available, because I can do a feature spot that's going to be, and what their clean was more like PG-ish and under. So I can easily do that, for a feature spot. But if I get a good feature, I'll host it. If not, I'll feature whatever. I can plug and play there. But 45 minutes of squeaky clean, I'm not quite there yet. I've been working on it, and a lot of the stuff I'm thinking of lately, I can write it clean, which is fine. I'm not purposely trying to do it, but it seems to just fall into place like that, which is nice.
Right.
And someone told me, there was a headliner years ago that told me, write clean, because you can make something clean sound dirty if you're doing a naughty show or a dirty show or something, but you can't make something dirty sound clean. You can't do it in reverse.
Mm-hmm. And you really have to, you have to depend on your wit because it has to be funny.
Absolutely.
It has to be funny. You can't use a curse word, accentuate on the curse word to make it funny. And a lot of people rely on
I went to an open mic a week ago Monday night, and watching some new people. One person got up for the second time ever. Some person, most of these people, have a couple of months in at the most. Yeah. And the less experience they had, the dirtier they were and the more they swore. And what I love is not that I know anything about anything, but then like one of them came up to me and he goes, "Can you give me some pointers?" I can't give myself pointers. That's exactly what I said to him. I struggle giving myself pointers. I don't know that I can give you pointers. He goes, well, just any type of feedback they can give. So the only feedback you need right now is stage time. Just keep getting stage time. And I just said to him, if you can make it PG or better, you're going to get more work in the long run. That's all I'll tell you. I said, but you got to do whatever is true to you.
Right.
Because there are very dirty comics that I find hilarious. You think of like a Doug Stanhope. I think he's very witty, very creative, very funny, but he's a dirty comic.
Yeah.
And then there are clean comedians, Brian Regan, Rhonda Corey, who are hilarious.
Gosh. I think you're already feeling that bourbon.
Oh, trust me. No, that's not even close yet. No, but one thing I like about you, Rhonda, is you're a very good, not that all comedians are good storytellers, but you don't just tell a joke. You it's like a story when you tell it. So it's when you're doing and I don't want to tell any of your bits, but there are certain ones
I'd love to hear you do one of my bits.
Actually,
Roman, would you love to hear him do one of my jokes?
No,
I'm looking forward to it.
I would absolutely destroy that.
Here we go.
I would love
It was
it.
coming.
But when you
said that.
do the Wizard of Oz and you're actually acting out what you're saying at the same time as you're saying it, if you just said the words, it's not going to give it that same punch that it does. It's just I'm blabbering now, but because you called me out by saying do one of my jokes.
He was about to do it too.
I know,
saw
right?
It was like
I
it was coming.
I was scrambling in my head
Yeah.
for wording, and I can't come up with it fast enough, so I'm not even going to try. Dick Doherty, rest in peace, Dick. He used to do a Christmas party at the Vault up in Boston every year. And one year when we got there, his wife Kathy said, all right, we're going to do a show, because they had people that it was a Monday night, and that's when they normally did their open mic. They had people that wanted to come and watch a show. So she's like, we're going to do a show, but I want each of you to go up and do somebody else's material.
So funny.
And we drew names out of a hat, and I drew Stephanie Peters.
Oh, jeez.
So I had to get up and do 5 minutes of Stephanie Peters. Now, at the time, she was taking me everywhere to open up for her, so I knew her act in and out. And I did it with the same inflection as her and everything.
funny.
And I got on stage and Kathy hugs me and she goes, that was one of the funniest things I have ever seen. She goes, some of the people in the audience look so confused.
Yeah.
She goes, because Stephanie has a joke about doing the thigh master and squeezing and shooting up her vagina.
Oh,
and I did that joke. And when I say shooting up like that, they're like,
What?
Yeah.
what did he? I thought his first. What? It was so funny.
Did you wear the glasses?
I had my glasses, not her
Oh, okay.
glasses, not
All
her
right.
big glasses.
Yeah.
But we had so much fun doing that. So I wanted to ask you guys, because I had a discussion with somebody the other day. They said to me, who influenced? Your earliest memory of your comedy influence? And I said, well, a lot of people say Carlin from my generation, but I was a huge Richard Pryor fan. They go, no, that probably developed as you got into stand-up more. But like, really, what was that thing that made you just say, I love funny? And when I really sat back and thought about it, I think for me it was the Carol Burnett show.
Me too.
Yeah, was it? Was it?
It was the Carol Burnett. Carol Burnett was a. Let's explain to Roman.
Yeah.
He's a little younger than we are.
It was a sketch comedy show in the 70s. But what was great about that show was and sketch comedy shows like Rowan and Martin's
Laugh-In.
was on Saturday Night Live. Started mid-70s, obviously. This show. But these guys had so much trouble holding it together during their sketches,
They
and
would
that
break each other. That's what
Harvey-
they would try to break each other up.
Harvey Korman could not hold it together during the opening credits. Never mind any sketches. That guy fell apart and everything. But Tim Conway
Yeah.
was
Tim Conway was
brilliant
great.
at breaking them apart, and he would just feed off of it. And I remember laughing as hard as I've ever laughed watching that show. And then I would discuss it with my friends, and we would try to recite the parts. And I think that's probably when I really started becoming somewhat of a student of comedy and timing and stuff, because as you're sitting there trying to recite it and go back and forth with somebody on it, you're inadvertently learning comedy timing.
Right.
You know, and I think Three's Company, John Ritter was the other one, because he was a great physical comedian.
Yeah.
Brilliant physical comedian. Those, and then once I started watching stand-up, obviously, you know, you got all the stand-up influences. But yeah, it was kind of funny when the guy said this to me. He goes, no, I'm not talking that. What was that thing that made you want to go out and tell your friends and be funny? And I was like, definitely Carol Burnett show.
Oh, yeah, for me too, Carol Burnett. And I always wanted to be on a variety show like that. I mean, that was it. Because growing up, that was the thing, you know, the Smothers Brothers.
Yes.
And Sonny and Cher. And then it was just Cher. And right.
Well, even Johnny Carson would do sketches once in a while.
Yes, that was a big deal. Like, sketch comedy was huge, you know, back in the day.
What about you, Roman? Do you remember?
For me, the earliest that I remember, well, the first sitcom that I remember watching was Welcome Back, Kotter.
Oh, yeah.
So
hey, Mr. Cotter, you're going to like die. You're going to crack up, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Cotter.
Yeah. Juan Epstein, you know, Vinny Barbarino.
Yeah.
So that was the first sitcom, but I was a big fan of Saturday Night Live, especially when Eddie Murphy came up. So he was probably the earliest influence on me, but I have 3 older brothers. 2 of them were big into comedy. One of them was a Richard Pryor fan, still is to this day. So I listened to a lot of Richard Pryor. Obviously, that's probably where the dirty comes from. And I said not quite as dirty as Richard, but so it was Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy, as far as stand-up goes, you know. But I watched Saturday Night Live all the time. I used to recite like a lot of his skits.
Oh, how could you not?
You know,
just
I mean, they were.
He wasn't on that long, and he had some of the most memorable sketches.
And he was
ever.
on like almost every sketch too, back in the day when he was on. So it was like, you know, probably 11 out of 12 sketches were him.
Do you remember the first time I would say that I actually performed comedy on a stage was in high school at the talent show. I did Ed Grimley from Saturday Night Live. Martin Short played him.
Ed Grimley, yep.
Yep, and you with the spike,
Yeah.
one spike in the front. This is pretty decent, I must say. You know, and I dressed up like him, and I went out and it did a dialogue with somebody, and I'll never forget when just that season that it was Martin Short, Billy Crystal, Christopher Guest, Harry Shearer, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and they were all together one season.
Yeah.
That's it. And at the time, when I would think back at all the sketches, the funny sketches the entire cast had that year, and then I didn't really put it together till years later that was one season they cranked out some of the most amazing, memorable stuff that ever came out, like Martin Short and Harry Shearer doing the synchronized swimming.
Oh yeah.
It's not quite in the Olympics yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it just over the and I still to this day, I mean, I worship the ground people like Steve Martin and Martin Short walk on. That's why I like their show Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, I love it.
I can't get enough of that show. Their characters are so them, you know, it's so realistic. But I've been kind of going back to that stuff because Carol Burnett show's on Amazon Prime, and I've been watching some of those. They're still as funny.
They're
still as funny.
And what a crew, you know?
Exactly. Lyle Wagner.
I know. And
he was just the straight, good-looking guy.
Yes, he'd smile and his tooth would just like ding. Remember they would just like
The bing.
Vicki Lawrence.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, so
and
funny.
the sitcom Mama's House started as a sketch on that show.
Ed, would you get me a beer?
Did you ever see the famous sketch from Carol Burnett of Tim Conway as the dentist and Harvey Korman as his patient, and Tim Conway's going to give him the Novocaine, but he stabs himself in the leg, and then his hands, and he's trying to pick his arms up, and he's flopping around.
Brilliant.
The physical and Conway to keep that face straight and keep playing the role the whole time. And Harvey Korman's in that chair, falling apart like no one I've ever seen on a show before. And they have to just keep plowing through it because everything was live.
Yeah.
It's just as funny. I'll put that up against. And Saturday Night Live to me has been horrible for years
lately,
now.
yeah, it's probably since the early 2000s.
I haven't really.
It's
watched
been a while.
I'm in bed.
Thanks to Hulu, I could pop it on a Sunday morning, and without commercials, it's over in 40 minutes, which is fantastic.
I do like no commercials. Do you actually get mad now when there's commercials?
Yes.
You have to deal
Yes,
with them?
thank
Try
you.
and fast forward through them, even though you can't.
Yeah, and you
know, 'cause
can't.
It's
You're
not
like,
recorded.
And they're not even long commercials like on Hulu. Or
They're a minute
anything.
and a
You're
half.
Yeah.
They're literally 90 seconds worth of commercials, but you're like, are you kidding me? I've said that by myself. I said that by myself in my living room watching a TV on Hulu, watching a show, and all of a sudden commercial comes on. I'm like, seriously?
Yeah.
And they play the same ones over and
Over
again.
Yep.
There was the one, Google. The Google one. Oh, it was so.
They had one on one show I watched. It was the State Farm commercial with J.K. Simmons. Every single commercial, the entire show.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I will never get State Farm just because of this.
if they could be a third of the price of any other insurance on the planet, and I will pay more just not to hear this commercial again. I can't stand this commercial. But yeah, we're spoiled nowadays because back when Carol Burnett was on, I think there was 3 networks. Yeah. And TV ended at midnight when you got the still page and the Star Spangled Banner would play. So that was it. That's how you knew it was time for bed, and you turned the TV off because the Star Spangled Banner was playing.
Now, what was the one bit that Tim Conway did? It was a little guy.
Yeah. Yep.
Who was that?
Dorf on golf.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Dorf on
golf.
Dorf on basketball. Dorf on
Yep.
whatever. He was actually like on his knees, but they had sneakers on his knees.
Yeah. Martin Lawrence actually did that in the Martin show. I don't know if you guys ever saw that show, but it was Roscoe.
Did he really?
Yeah,
I did watch some of that show, but I don't remember it. The other one that Conway did was
with Mrs. O'Wiggins.
Mrs. O'Wiggins.
Yeah.
This is a Mr. Todd Ball. I will tell you right now. You better come here, jiffy quick. And his
Carol
toupee would
Burnett.
always flip forward.
Oh, Carol Burnett was so funny.
Her timing was always all of them. I mean,
Impeccable.
every single one of them was perfect. And I don't know. Nowadays, I think there's no sitcoms anymore per se. I mean, what is it for sitcoms right now?
There really isn't. The last really great sitcom that I loved was Modern Family.
Which was a great show.
Yeah.
Which was a great show.
The writing on that show.
That and Big Bang Theory.
See, I wasn't a huge Big Bang Theory fan.
I know. I appreciated it after the fact. That was good writing and everything. I wouldn't put it up in my top ever sitcoms. It's easy to say Seinfeld number 1. But and it's hard to rank them
Friends?
for me.
Were you a Friends?
Not as
fan?
big a Friends fan. I liked it, but I would put Cheers above it.
Yeah, I was a huge Cheers fan.
I would put Three's Company above it.
Oh, I loved Three's Company.
Taxi above
yeah.
most of those, and Taxi wasn't even on for 4 full seasons.
Really?
Yes, it's on. That's on Hulu. You can watch the whole thing. That show could never be on now, not in a million years. It's so incorrect with everything that it does, but it is so well written. It's such a great ensemble cast. The characters are so strong. It's one of those shows where you forget that they're the actor and just think of them as the character because they played it so well and so funny. And I love when you meet people that do comedy acting and they look at us and go, God, I wish I could do what you do. And we're sitting here talking about them like, I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
But people, they think stand-up is like so hard. Have you ever done improv?
I have some friends that do improv, and when I was with them, I did a couple of scenes with them.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It's scary. I'm not going to lie. I was scared, because you're on the spot, they set you up for the scene and it's like, you have to come up with something.
That's what scared you the most?
Yeah, it was kind of.
I'll tell you what scared me in a second. Have you ever done it?
Improv? No. No, I've never done improv. I've acted before.
I know you've done a lot of acting,
Yeah.
actually. But and again, it's got its own set of challenges. But at least you have a chance to learn lines and recite them. Whereas improv, you have no lines and you're creating a scene.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me when I did it twice in improv, I opened up as a stand-up for an improv group, and then afterwards they asked me to sit in on a couple sketches, and then another time I did it again, same thing. Is that when we do stand-up, it's just us. It's just we only have to rely on ourselves. So if it's not working, we can dig ourselves out of that hole or not. But we only have to rely on ourselves. When you're doing improv with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other people, you're relying on everyone else, and you're not all thinking the same way. You might be thinking the scene's going to go this way. I'm thinking it's going this way, and we all got to rely on each other to help each other.
Right.
Whatever I say has got to set you up.
Yes, and
and in the moment, you're only kind of thinking. You got to not think like a stand-up because it's not just about you, and that's so hard to do if you've been a stand-up for a while because we know how to do this, not everybody around us over there. So, I mean, that was the most difficult part. Is I wasn't worried about if they said something and I had to feed off their line. I was more worried about failing them and not setting them up correctly.
Exactly.
That scared me more than anything. It was fun. It was interesting. Different muscle altogether.
Yeah, it's
totally
fun
different
though.
muscle.
It is fun. I love the challenge of it.
It's definitely a challenge. Yeah,
it is. It's so much fun. But you do, on the other hand, you actually have someone there to save you. So, like, if you're tanking, if you're up on the stage, I mean, how many times have you been up there and you're like, there's nothing, and you're up there alone and there's nobody there to, like, help you. But with improv, you have somebody who can kind of step in and save the moment, too. Yeah.
But I also think that, we've all been doing it long enough now that, one, those moments don't come as often, hopefully. And two, you know how to handle those moments.
Yeah, and you have fun with those moments.
Exactly. You play in those moments. And when the crowd... Oh, yeah. You have to acknowledge it. Yeah, you got to have fun with it. Yeah. And I think if it's almost like a peek behind the curtain, and the crowd enjoys that. When you do that type of thing. We talk about Pryor. There was a great documentary on Hulu about him. And, him and Carlin were like mirror images of each other, the way their career was, because they both were, wearing the suit and going on the Smothers Brothers type of shows and trying to be that type of comedian. And then they just had this awakening and just, Carlin went down the hippie road. Pryor went to, I think it was San Francisco, and just changed his whole outlook. And then they came out, becoming like kind of this different voice and everything like that, and totally changed everything at that moment. And
did you ever get to see either of them live?
No.
I got to see Carlin live.
Yeah,
really?
Ace has too. So I never got that pleasure.
And Judy Tenuta opened
Oh,
up
jeez.
for Carlin, and
Love
this was
Judy.
in the early 80s.
Where'd you see
I was
that?
5.
I was surprised they let you in that young. Is it Children and Family Night?
It was Cape Cod Melody Tent. It was Cape Cod Melody Tent.
It was
during a
a
children's
clean
fair.
open mic. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was story night at a children's fair, and George was reading. I do not like green eggs and ham.
The hippy dippy Al.
I do not like them, Sam.
Was it Al Sleet, the hippy dippy weatherman?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. The documentary on HBO, the 2-part documentary that Judd Apatow did, is brilliant on him. It really, and bravo to his daughter for, really letting people see everything. He was a flawed human being, as we all are.
Yeah.
And, he...
Not Roman.
Oh, definitely me.
Not as chiseled as he's
I know,
looking
like
tonight.
It's the T-shirt. It's the Japanese size T-shirt that I ordered.
Roman's been pumping
The
some
uniform of the
iron.
day.
Look at that.
Are you kidding? In Japan, that's an extra large.
Yeah, right. Yes.
No, but the documentary just showed him and the struggles and the marital problems and everything that's going on, and they didn't really hold back, but it didn't make me anyway think any less. Oh, I didn't afterwards go, oh, really? I still think of him as being on the Mount Rushmore of comedy, and he just was a guy that struggled and handled it not the way you should handle it, and that'll never change for me. The other guy that was big for me early on, and I think it's because it was the only comedian my grandfather loved, was Jonathan Winters. Another improv genius, that could take any moment and just make it funny, was another guy. And he influenced a lot of guys of like Carlin's generation and everything like that. But I, like you, I had a friend with older brothers that had records, and we were listening to records we weren't supposed to listen to.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And comedy records were huge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We had a Bill Cosby. I know it's like, but
You put the pill in the drink, and then she drinks the drink.
But I mean, albums back then, and I don't know if it's past my bedtime but like my mind is blanking out on me. Bob Newhart.
Oh
gosh.
He won a Grammy for the Button Down Mind that he did in the 50s.
Oh, wow.
Comedy Album of the Year. I think it was the first comedy album to win Album of the Year. Overall, like Grammy for overall Album of the Year.
Wow.
And it was in the late 50s, I want to say. And my grandfather had that album.
Wow.
And would play it all the time. And it was so hugely popular that the record company pushed him to make Button Down Mind 2, like within a year or two afterwards. And we all know that this happens so much with comedy is guys will come out with a special, and the special is brilliant from beginning to end. And then their second special, and you're like, oh, it wasn't quite as good as the first one. Well, the first one, they spent 10 years developing the material. Second one, they had to put together in a year.
Yeah, probably less than that.
Yeah, it's sometimes less than that, exactly, which is not easy to do. So, when I get a chance to record my special, I'm going to do half of it with proven stuff, and the other half is going to be shit. So I can save the other half for when I can do my second special.
What a plan.
Yeah. I'm still holding out for that one.
Yeah.
Hysterical.
That's, But there's been so many great comedy documentaries lately, and Ace doesn't like to watch too many comedy specials or things like that because he's always afraid that he's going to accidentally remember a joke and be on stage and say something similar or even tell the joke itself and go, oh shit, where did I hear that before? I don't think that's not mine, and recite it back. And I've never really worried about that, and I don't believe I've ever done it. Do you watch comedy specials?
I do, but a lot of times, so I'll watch them with my wife quite a bit, and what we'll do is a lot of times we'll watch female specials. We'll watch like Taylor Tomlinson, Amy Schumer, Ali Wong, stuff like that. So it'd be kind of hard for me to take something from them and spin it as my own.
I think you could totally do Ali Wong's material.
You think so?
I think you could nail that. You got to wear the same outfit she wears on stage, though.
Yeah,
like in Baby Cobra.
She was 8 months pregnant in that one special.
Two of them.
Oh,
she did two specials pregnant.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had big baby bellies in two of them. Yeah. Because she didn't want her second kid to get jealous that the first kid got to be in a special.
Oh, that's funny.
And that one didn't.
Yeah.
But she, I think she's absolutely hilarious. And I've never liked the label of saying, she's a funny female comedian.
Thank you.
How about that person's just a funny comedian?
Yeah.
Like Kathleen Madigan, I'll put her up against tons of male comedians. She's one of my all-time favorite comedians in general. I think she is so smart, so witty. Her writing is so good, and the way she delivers her material is perfect.
Yeah,
is perfect. She makes me laugh every time I hear her.
She's funny.
Yeah,
she's really good.
And she's another one that it just tells everyday life stories, but it's so relatable when she does her materials on the Catholic Church. When she's talking about, we don't read the Bible because we're Catholic. The priest does it for us. I mean, I'm like, oh yeah, I sat in church and yeah, we do. She's right. They do all that stuff for you.
We just follow along.
Yeah, it's so true, the stuff she said. But she's one of my all-time favorite comedians in general. But I've always hated, when they why do we have to break it up into those categories? Can't comedians just be comedians?
Yeah, with the label. Someone said to me, you're one of my favorite female comedians. Okay.
Yeah, I have 100 male ones I like better.
I know,
but when it comes to the females, you're number one. What is that? Is that a compliment or is it not a compliment?
Yeah,
How do you?
I was like, oh, thank you.
I know. That's kind of a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
So I've never, whenever I've introduced acts on stage, I just say comedian. Whenever I talk about, any comedian, male, female, whatever, just comedian, just comic. That's all. Because to me, you're either funny or you're not. It has nothing to do with gender, pronouns, or anything else. You're either a funny person or you're not a funny person at the end of the day.
No, I just want to follow up my comment earlier in that I was saying female because I am male.
Too late.
My set
Too late.
kind of,
Yeah, okay, Ron.
I'm just trying to.
This is where he
trying to
digs
say
out.
that.
Your set isn't anti-female.
No.
It's not pro.
No, it's not
not
anti-female.
pro-female.
But if I were to tell some of the jokes that they tell, obviously it wouldn't be relatable, right?
What's the most recent special you watched?
Actually went to see Ali Wong last November.
Oh, did you?
At PPAC, yeah. We went down there and they lock your phones up.
That has become common. There's a company out there that actually makes a bag device that you put your phone in.
Yeah,
they lock it,
They
and
have a
you
little
and
key
you
thing.
can keep the phone with you, but you just don't have access. To
right.
it.
And if you want to
it.
talk on it, there's a designated area.
Yeah,
and they'll unlock it for you, but you can't get back in until you
Yeah,
you got to put it back in the bag.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle does that. Started that.
I think PPAC does that quite a bit. On a lot of their shows, so I don't know if it's specific to the comedian or if it's specific to the venue.
Yeah, either or. You know what? It's amazing, and for anybody listening right now, if you go to comedy shows, we have no problem with you taking a picture, posting online that this is where I am, this is the comedian I'm seeing. We love when you guys share that and you do that. Don't record and put our jokes up because one, in all fairness, you don't always know where the beginning and the end of the joke is, so you might take it out of context.
True.
It might be a brand new joke that is not ready for prime time yet.
It's like half baked.
Yeah, exactly. I just came up with this concept today. I'm going to throw it in there tonight. It's not quite ready yet. You guys put it out, and the next thing you know, somebody who's never seen me before goes, that's not that good.
Yeah.
But they're not seeing my stuff, my best stuff. They're just seeing this new line I'm trying out tonight. But the biggest thing is stuff being taken out of context. I see that happen all the time because I'll see a post of people I work with and I'm like, oh, they cut off the first half of the joke.
Right.
Because you're playing the punchline, but you didn't get the setup and everything else that goes with it that makes the punchline make sense. Or worse, makes it sound inappropriate or racist or hateful or something like that because you didn't hear what came before it, like most of your acts, Roman.
Yeah, that's because Ali Wong is one of my favorite female comedians. I mean,
have you settled the lawsuit with Domino's?
Not yet.
Okay,
not
just,
yet. Still
just
going.
checking.
We're waiting for the Deshaun Watson case to get settled. All 25 of them.
Only in America.
Yeah, right.
Only in America.
Yeah.
Now, I know that Rhonda has dealt with this a lot, but after shows, do you get people come up and complain about your material being saucy and...
I get it all the time.
Sometimes.
I've been uncomfortable with shows with Rhonda where people come up to her afterwards and go, I don't like what you said. That was...
You know my peanut allergy joke?
Yes.
It's kind of spun with the gun control joke.
Yeah.
So usually it's the gun control or guns in school or whatever that kind of trigger people to be like, whoa, You
had someone get mad
setback.
about the peanut
Somebody
part?
got mad about the peanut allergies because her kids got peanut allergies, and she's like, that was offensive. And I'm like,
Oh, I have a peanut allergy joke.
yeah.
I have one.
And one
That's
of the,
where Roman
one
got
of
it from.
I know.
Yeah, I stole it from you.
It is your
You
joke.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Rhonda, you too are one of my favorite female comedians.
You're one of my favorite female comedians that's sitting here today.
Yes.
There were two comedians when I was coming up in Boston 20 years ago that shared a joke. Because they both came up with the concept, which happens, similar thought,
Okay.
and they both were on a showcase show one night, and one did it first, and then the other one came out afterwards and goes, dude, I was going to do that same joke tonight, and they came to an agreement that they would basically share this joke.
That's great.
And I'm like, how does that
That's
work?
rare. That's
because
rare,
if
man.
Roman and I are sharing a joke, okay, say you're at the Comedy Park on Saturday night, and you do your set, and it includes the joke we share. And a week later, I'm there, and I do the joke, and some of the people in the crowd are the same people that saw you the week before. They're going to like, hey, he's doing that other guy's material.
Wouldn't you just say, forget it?
I would drop it.
I would drop the joke.
I did.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did. I had a joke that I did the years ago about, remember when tofu became a big craze, when people were like tofu hot dogs and they were trying to grill them.
Tofu turkey.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
For
Tofurkey.
Thanksgiving.
A tofurkey.
Yeah, tofu
Yeah, all of a sudden
turkey.
tofu was everywhere. And I'm like, my wife is making me grill tofu hot dogs. They're gray out of the package. They're gray as you're cooking them. How do you know when these things are done? They never change color and everything. And then I go to a show, and another guy did, not word for word, but the same concept about his wife making him
Like-minded thinking.
switch to tofu, and he made a tofu hamburger, and he couldn't tell when it was done and I'm like, all right, I'm just not going to do it because it's one line, one joke, it's not a big deal for me. But Bobcat Goldthwait told the best story ever. He said back in the day, in the 80s, two guys in Boston got in a fight over the same horrible joke. He actually heard a guy walk up to another guy at a bar and go, all right, dude, now when you go up there and you say E.T. looks like a turd, I say he looks like a piece of shit. That totally ruins my joke when you say he looks like a turd, because now I can't do my joke saying E.T. looks like a piece of shit. And they got in a fight over this one really bad joke.
Was that the actual joke?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
One guy says E.T. looks like a turd, and the other guy wanted to say he looks like a piece of shit.
Wow, that must have taken hours upon hours to write.
Right.
What
It's like
what the best part is when people have that much conviction over a horrible joke like that. Because I have jokes that I do that I know are original thought, they're good, and they get laughs. And if somebody ever came up to me and said, dude, that joke is shit, so-and-so used to do a joke just like it, I would just out of insecurity probably drop it and never do it again, just because someone said that to me. Yeah. Now let me ask you this: have you have any jokes that you've had that you just stopped doing because?
Yeah, I actually had a
not the peanut joke.
No, it was a beer bottle label joke that I used to do years ago, probably a good decade ago now, and I did it on a showcase that Jimmy Tingle was closing. And after I came off, he came up to me and he's like, hey, man, very polite, very nice, and said, hey, I just want to let you know I have a very similar joke that I do about. And then I watched as he didn't do it that night, but I saw the joke later and was like, it's very close. And I didn't, that was the first time I'd ever been on a show with him, but I was like,
and when it's a guy like that's established, you got to give it to him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give it to him.
After that, when he told me, I mean, I didn't even have to look for it. When he told me that night, I was like, yes, sir. I was like,
but
I knew enough to drop it.
He
at
also
that point.
handled it the right way.
Right.
He approached you like a professional.
Yep.
Said something to you, because I had a guy do that to me one time, and he came up to me, and all he said to me is, he goes, you did this joke last night. I do one very similar. Mm-hmm. He goes, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. Absolutely. He goes, your joke is very funny. But since I'm closing and I have to do a longer set, would you mind not doing it tonight? So I could do it as part of my set. He goes, that's all. He goes, because yours is very funny, and it actually made mine less funny. And you know, because he was just so nice about it and complimentary, you know, even if he didn't mean it, it made me feel good the way that he did it. So I didn't do it that night, you know.
I felt the same way with Jimmy Tingle, because when he said it was like, you know, it's close, same concept, you know, kind of done differently, but same concept. And when I saw his joke later on, I was just like, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that joke again.
Now,
It's not worth it for a joke. You know what I mean? It's not worth it.
have you ever had any, like, I mean, I can't imagine that you would have any jokes that ever made anybody, you know, obviously you don't use language that would make anybody uncomfortable, but subject matter or anything like that?
I have had. So I used to have this joke that I talked about.
Because I think Rhonda doing a dirty joke like the envelope we push sometimes would be hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Would be absolutely
That's what we should do.
hilarious.
We should do an open mic, and it's like nothing but dirty.
Yes.
And then
That's
be like,
every open
Rhonda, you gotta
That's
do a
every
set.
open mic.
That's the pub on Park. That's Boomerang.
Yeah, exactly.
That's-
every
yeah.
that's every open mic. So I did this joke. I talked about a bathroom, like going into the bathroom and the automated equipment, and how it was like a game show, because you'd say door number 1, and I'd kick open, you know, I'd act like I was kicking open the door, and I'd be like, oh no, you know what I mean? No. Door number 2, and it, you know, and so this lady came up to me, because I did these jokes. I started doing comedy in churches, like most people, and this woman came up to me.
Hey, father, 2 Jews walk into a bar.
So this woman was actually kind of. It was at a conference, and this woman was actually looking. She was looking to be offended.
In today's language, she was a Karen.
She was, she was looking to be
Even
offended.
though I hate that term.
Yeah, I know, because I know a lot of nice Karens.
I know.
So she came up to me and she said, you know, bathrooms, I don't know if she said bathrooms aren't very godly or whatever, or what, I don't know what she said. But I'll just tell you, I said, well, I appreciate you coming up to me and telling me that, and I will definitely take that into consideration. You know, I will pray about it, and, you know. So the next time I did the joke, I said, this is how I closed out, because it was a closer. I said, I don't know if you're familiar. There was this very popular Christian movie called War Room.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the women that starred in the movie was at this conference that I was at. And so it was Karen, actually, her name was Karen Abercrombie. She was there. She starred in the movie.
Name dropper.
Yes, I'm just a big name dropper. That's me. So anyway, when I closed out the joke, I said, one time I did that joke, and this woman came up to me, and she said, Rhonda, bathrooms aren't very godly. I said, oh my gosh, you're kidding me. That's awful. Because that's where I do the majority of my praying. That's my war room. And I closed it like that.
And how was the response?
Oh.
Huge,
erupted.
right?
Yeah, because it was a conference of like 1,000
Yeah.
women.
That's
And
great.
it erupted. I'm not going to lie. So,
That's great.
hello.
You just wish that woman was there for that.
I do. I really do.
Oh, of course you
yeah,
do.
it was awesome. I'm not gonna, so that was my revenge.
I'll never get people that go to comedy shows looking for something to be offended at. Why do you go? Don't go.
Yeah.
It's not for you.
Yeah.
I actually said that to somebody 2 years ago. They after the show, myself and the other 2 comics were hanging out by the door saying thank you to everybody. This woman come up and found something she was offended from all 3 of us.
Oh, well, that's equal offensive
And I'm like-
opportunities.
And I just looked at her and I said, well, I feel bad for you. She goes, you feel bad for me? I go, yeah, because you really shouldn't go to comedy shows.
Yeah.
She goes, why? I like funny. I go, I don't think you do.
Yeah.
I go, maybe you should stay home and not come to comedy shows anymore because they're really not for you. Because it wasn't an adult dirty show or anything. She was just being nitpicky about things that people said.
Well, fans of comedy too will let you know what they like. Typically after the show, hey, I love this joke or I love that.
I don't mind if I tell a joke that just kind of bombs and it's not funny. That's fine. I can live with that. But when everybody liked the joke and it was not an offensive joke, and that's so hard to say what is and isn't because everybody's triggers are different, but for the most part, it's just an average run-of-the-mill joke and this one person is trying to find fault with it. I'm sorry, that's kind of on you at that point, and also when you buy a ticket, when they come and it says rated R adult show.
Hello. Yeah.
You know what you're coming to see.
Well,
which is equal to 21 plus too. When you see 21 plus on the tickets, typically rated R.
And the fact that she had to address every single one of you, hello, that's a problem.
I just pictured in my head her sitting there with one of those little notebooks. Going, oh, I love cats. I can't believe he just said that.
Yeah.
Did he just say that about a blender? I love my blender. Just trying to find something to complain about.
Yeah. And there's people like, look on social media, right? People just want to be offended.
There are times that I would love to delete all my social media accounts.
I get it.
And just be gone with it because, when people are faceless, and people say stuff on there they would never say to other people's faces.
It's so true. That's so true.
The human emotion, the human contact is not there. So they say some of the worst things to people about people. And that's why the bullying for kids is so much worse than it was when we were growing up. I was bullied unmercifully in grade school, but when I left school, I didn't think about it anymore. Yeah. It doesn't leave kids now.
Yeah.
They live with that 24/7.
Awful.
And it's 10 times worse. So when people go, oh, I had to deal with it when I was a kid. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
No, you
didn't.
didn't.
And camera
like
phones
that.
too, man. Somebody catches something on video and posts it online.
Thank
Forget
God
it.
they didn't have those when I was.
Yeah.
I am so thankful that they didn't have social media or camera phones or anything, because let me tell you, I would be in some serious trouble.
Were you bad growing up?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I can't see that.
Oh,
the Lord would be offended.
God knows. God knows,
Wait.
and God
You
forgives.
used the bathroom growing up? Sinner.
No, anybody who knows me growing up. Honestly, when I was young, I became a Christian when I was 8. But then I have a joke. About it.
Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I love these conversations because I grew up in a born-again Christian household.
Okay.
My mother brought us to church every week for the Sunday morning 2.5 hour church service.
Live at church.
1 hour of singing, hour and a half of
yeah.
A sermon.
Yeah.
We volunteered for everything there.
Yeah.
Just all kinds of stuff. So I grew up in that same type of atmosphere. But you said you became born again when you were 8.
I say, you know what?
Was it your mother having you do it, or your parents having you do it, or did you know what you were doing at that point? Did
As an
you realize?
8-year-old, I asked Jesus to come into my heart. That's how, when I was 8 years old.
And you understood.
I understood as much as I could as an 8-year-old.
Right.
Yeah.
And that stayed with you.
I stopped going to church when I was 14.
Right.
And just because my father wasn't going, and so my mother wasn't too happy about it. But no, and I became, I was very rebellious.
Okay.
I was kind of a wild teenager, and I was, and the whole thing, until I was getting married, is when I.
How old were you when you got married?
32.
Until I got married, from teenager to 32.
Yeah.
That's a long stretch.
And
She's 30, and she's 35 now.
And I'm
so
35
right.
now.
That's what I'm saying. So it's only been a few years.
Yeah,
She's
it's
been
only been a
good.
few years. No, so and honestly, this is exactly how it happened. I wanted to get married in the church that I had grown up in.
Okay.
And by the way, I was pregnant when I was getting married.
Yeah.
Because I like to do everything backwards. Like we just recently got engaged, so I'm just, I'm doing it all backwards. That's really funny. Anyway.
Baby, then the house, and then marriage.
We followed you.
Yeah.
In
So-
2 more years, she's going to go to high school.
Yeah.
pretty
For
soon.
4 years, then she's going to go to junior high.
Right, exactly. Yep. Benjamin Button, right? Anyway. So I wanted to get married. Now, if you know any of the customs of the church, they don't usually allow that to happen.
I think most religions frown upon that.
Right.
I'm just saying.
So, but I don't know. God just allowed me to get married in that church. We had to go through premarital classes and blah, blah,
common.
blah. But, and it was just not something that usually would happen. And so I honestly started to go to church out of obligation. My plan was as soon as I was married
To go
I
back
would
to church.
probably stop going.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that was kind of how, and it wasn't planned, but I ended up at that age rededicating my life to Christ. And so that's how,
Good for you.
And it's so funny. It's like, oh, did you, and I was a bartender. That was my scene. Like I bartended, I was in that scene. I was, that was where my friends were, the whole Cheers thing. I kind of lived that. Like that's, I'd go there sometimes on my day off or whatever. And it wasn't that I couldn't do this or that anymore. I just didn't want to. I didn't have the desire.
Right.
So, and that's just it. And then that's just kind of, my spiritual life has grown since then. And so that's why I do clean comedy, because that's who I am now.
No, and that's another label. You do what you think is funny.
Yeah.
Whether it's clean or dirty or blue or whatever you want to call it, you do what you think is funny at the end, and it is. Roman, you do what
And
you
the crowds
think
think it's funny, too.
Right.
I mean, I've been on plenty of shows with Rhonda, and I've yet to see a crowd that doesn't like her.
No,
Aw.
So-
exactly.
How
And
much is that going to cost?
scones.
I did
scones.
bring scones. I brought scones.
I've been
'cause they
staring
go-
at 'em
All
this whole time.
I think everyone should try a bite. I bought chocolate chip scones.
Oh,
I
my
made them
goodness.
this morning.
We got to try a bite.
All right.
I made them
While
this morning.
she's breaking off a piece, Roman, do you? I'm not eating.
Well, you can save some of it. Save it.
You can't hand me a slice of scone.
You have to
Roman,
have
do
a
you
little-
remember the first joke original joke you ever came up with?
First original joke I ever came up with.
Like, because did you do a class or what's his name's boot camp?
No.
No, you didn't. Okay.
No. So I did.
Frank O'Donnell's boot camp, because a lot
Yeah, it
of
wasn't-
guys in this area did that.
I did. The Catch a New Rising Star competitions. That's where I kind of
Competitions,
got
okay.
associated with Frank.
So how did you come up with your material for the first time you ever went on stage?
So I had first time I ever went on stage.
I can
First time
hardly,
I ever did comedy.
I
was,
can hardly hear you over the deliciousness of this.
right. The scone is like that's what I hear.
But be
the
careful. You know
chewing.
what they say: 2 seconds on the lips, forever on the hips.
That's right.
Trust me, I've had like 47 of them. So when I can't fit into my jeans tomorrow, you'll know why.
So there's 50 pieces, and that's the 3 that are.
That's the 3 that are left.
Yeah.
So you catch a
So-
rising star.
Well, the first time I did comedy was back in college. I was a senior in college.
Was that
And I
when you were
took a
doing it in
Theater
Norwood?
101. No. This was way back in New York when I was in
okay.
upstate New York, 'cause that's where I'm from. And I had taken a Theater 101 class and realized with about 2 weeks left that I was supposed to do 20 hours of theater work. Like just doing sets, working on sets and stuff like that. Just almost like community service, but for theater. And so I went to the professor and said, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this, because they didn't have any. There was no productions left or anything like that. There was 2 weeks left. It was like end of April. And she said to me, well, I'll give you credit for it if you come and do 3 open mics. So have no idea what my material was like, but I went and did 3 weeks in a row. I did
You don't remember
open mics.
what type of material?
No, I can't quite remember because at the time it was just like I just want to get this to get the credit because I was I would.
You weren't taking it seriously as far as doing
right,
comedy.
Right. So I just kind of got like I was in a fraternity. All my fraternity brothers showed up at all 3 shows. We were all like
that's the worst.
Stoned and drunk, and it was just like so they were laughing no matter what. Even if I laughed at myself, they were gonna laugh. So it wasn't like but then I started the first time.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you went back to do it for real.
Yeah, was I wrote a bit about being short and comparing it to how if people gain weight, you can always go on a diet and do all these diet fads to lose weight, or if different types of thing like if you're gay, there's the pride parade and all that.
Yep.
When you're short, there's nothing. There's no milkshakes. There's nothing for you. You basically.
That's funny. That's a funny concept.
I was going to say that's still a funny concept.
Yeah, that's
so.
funny.
And
the
then
joke
I ended
sucks, but the concept's
right. So and then I ended it by doing the Lollipop Guild dance as like the the song that kind of gives us it's the fight song for short people, So that's kind of how I did the bit. So that was the first time I ever went on stage. It was at the Comedy Palace in Andover. I think it's something else now.
There's not even there anymore.
It's not even there. Okay. So yeah, it was off 93.
Yeah, that was
Patty Ross was the host.
That was the first place I ever did stand up in a comedy club was the Palace in Andover.
Yeah.
93.
So what year? What year was that?
2001.
Okay.
2000 end of 2001.
Yeah.
When I
What
did.
about you?
For me, that was 2002, but that was like the only set that I did for 4 years. So I started, but I had a son. I was a single dad, and I had custody of him. His mom was nowhere to be found in upstate New York. So
The first time I ever worked with Roman was, I want to say, mid to late 2000s when Comedy Zone was in Warwick.
yes,
Oh wow.
yeah,
Yeah, we worked together with, I forgot who the headliner was. It was someone from down south.
yeah,
It was the first time I ever worked with Roman.
yeah.
Do you remember the first time you went on stage? Because you've been married for 3 years, so you've been a comedian for like 6 months. No, but did that like the first joke or first couple of jokes you did were?
I do their like.
She's like, yes, I still do them today.
I do. They're so bad. Like, no, there's one that I have kind of, I've taken it and molded it that I still do.
Yeah.
There's one that
I have one joke from my very first set I ever did. In my very first set, it was one line, and now the joke is probably about 4 minutes long, but I haven't done it in several years.
See, mine's the opposite. Mine was like an hour long,
It's
and now it's 2 lines.
It's
now.
the story of my vasectomy, and I just did one line from it when I did my first open mic, and then I developed it into the whole story that it became. And I just haven't been telling it because I moved on to other stuff, not for any other reason. But you were clean right out of the gates.
Yeah, I literally started in churches.
But how do you?
Okay.
No, I wouldn't think that you can discover a comedy scene in churches.
Okay, so I know.
So how do you break into the comedy scene in churches?
It's so crazy.
This is just
I
so
know.
interesting to me.
Everybody just like it boggles everyone's mind. But I started by doing some sketches. Some sketches. I did this comedic act of women of the Bible, and I know.
Now I want to see it.
I
want to see that.
Oh, I actually have a video of that.
I would pay money.
Oh my
to see
gosh,
this.
it's so bad. But anyway, it's kind of like so. I'm trying to think of. Do you know the story of David and Bathsheba?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you know the story, but Bathsheba. David was supposed.
Bathsheba was the witch at Conjuring House. No, not that Bathsheba. No, okay.
Oh my gosh. David was supposed to go off to war. He doesn't go off to war. He's on his rooftop and he sees Bathsheba, who is actually taking a bath. Now, I don't know if that is how she got her name. I don't know. But anyway, her husband
I think it's
had
coincidence.
gone off to war. Okay. So I came out with a bathrobe and a rubber ducky, because he sees her, and he invites her over, and blah blah blah. The rest is history.
Please tell me you started singing when you acted as own rubber ducky.
I did. I literally did.
Great minds think alike. Right up here, Rhonda.
I got to see that video. We got to see this video.
I love it already.
And I had kind of like, a very, her voice was kind of like this. She's like, oh, what a wonderful day for a bath. And then I had somebody, I did, on the roof. And then I had somebody.
It's so hot to be in my bath.
What a great day for a bath. And I had somebody with a Burger King crown and binoculars, like peering. It's like, I feel like someone's staring at me with binoculars, but that can't be because they're not invented yet.
Did you really?
Oh yeah.
That's actually brilliant.
I wrote this whole thing. I ad-libbed a lot of it. Oh, I did Eve. I did Noah's wife. I did Mary and Martha. Martha is like, I can't believe I have to do everything myself. I was just like, this is zero. And she just kept talking faster. I'm going to tell Jesus that's it. I'm just so sick of this. Yeah, so I had this whole thing.
That's hilarious.
So anyway, I know. He's going to need it. He needs it. It's
the way this story's going.
You asked. You asked.
No, I love this. I love this because my mother used to force me to be in the plays that they did on Sunday school. And there was one time when they were going through Moses and wandering the desert. I was just one of the people.
Like Moses does.
I was one of the people following Moses, and they literally took a curtain that was covering a cabinet in the basement and put a string through it and tied it around my neck for my robe.
Makeshift
and I'm just
costumes.
And we're walking around now the congregation was in an old grange at the time, so we're walking around and we come up the center aisle between the two sides, and I just look at the guy next to me and I'm like, you'd think he'd stop and ask directions. And a bunch of people busted out laughing.
Awesome.
And my mother was so mad at me for doing that. She was mad. My father thought it was the funniest thing
great.
ever. I just was like, you'd think he'd stop and ask directions.
That's awesome. You ad-libbed. I love it.
And then there was another time in the middle of the sermon, the pastor is comparing stuff in the Bible to Star Wars, because Star Wars was huge at the time. And he kept quoting stuff from Star Wars wrong.
Misquoting. Ooh, that's bad.
And I kept correcting him. And then during one point, I just held my hands up and I went, and my mother's elbowing me and stuff like that.
Hilarious.
And I got in so much trouble.
That's so funny.
At the church. And I still remember the time, it was a Saturday night, and there's a knock on the door, and I go and open the door, and there is Pastor Bill. I'm like, why is he at our house on a Saturday night? And his entire family's with him. And they're coming in the house, and I'm like, I'm going to get sat down and talked to for all the crap I've done in church all these weeks. My mother just invited them over for dinner that night, but I'm like, I'm in trouble. She didn't tell anybody. She didn't tell us.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm so screwed. All the stuff
so
that I
funny.
did.
Now imagine if she called you out when he came over and he's like, "Why did you do that bit?" Well, he was up there messing up all the Star Wars. Like, do your
That's
Darth
so
Vader.
Call him Master Yoda now. Remember when you said Pastor Bill looks like Yoda? Tell him all about it. Mr. Funny, tell him all about it.
That's hysterical.
Oh my God. I was like, holy shit, he's in my house. Because when you're a kid,
Yeah.
and you see like a teacher, you see them in public, and then the pastor, I see him up there every week doing his fire and brimstone talk and speaking in tongues and everything else, and then he's in my kitchen. Oh,
jeez.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's scary.
Intimidating.
That was so intimidating.
So I have to tell you my favorite character that I did.
Please. Like
Rahab.
Bathsheba's rubber ducky isn't enough.
Rahab the prostitute.
Excuse me?
Do you know who Rahab the prostitute was? She let the spies when they went to
Yes. Yeah.
Let the spies. Okay.
Yep.
So
I forgot the name.
Rahab.
No, you know what? Because actually, Dr. Rahab was the doctor that delivered all 3 of my daughters at Day Kimball Hospital in Putnam, Connecticut. There's a Dr. Rahab.
Small world.
So
Small world.
when someone says Rahab, the first thing I'm thinking of is
the
Dr.
doctor.
Rahab.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, why is he? I know he thought he was God, but he should. I didn't know he was actually in the Bible.
He was in the Bible. Yeah, so I did her. I had like this faux fur and leather skirt and boots, and she had red lipstick, and I did her with a New York accent.
I was going to say, you dressed up like a New York hooker.
I did. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are you spies doing in this neck of the woods? I did. It was, yeah.
You had a lot of fun.
Now, is that New York or is that New Jersey?
Well, I don't know.
She's right on the border.
I was probably on the border.
She's a little more Trenton.
Yeah.
A little more in the Trenton area.
That's Rahab. I can't help it.
You know, she could be like on The Sopranos. It's a very difficult situation. Silvio, what's going on over here with Rahab, huh?
Yeah,
it's very difficult.
So that's how I started. And then we did a comedy night, and I wanted to try stand up, so I did. I tried stand up.
How long did you do churches for before you did like anything outside of a church type of place for comedy?
So I ended up joining the Christian Comedy Association, and they have big conferences.
There's not even a
like
non-Christian comedy association.
So anyway, but I mean, and everybody kind of said, you really, because I was connected with a woman speaker, which I still am. We still would take 2 ministries. We'll still go out and do events together. But so that's where I started veering off, and I met Mary Ellen.
Yes.
That's
our good friend Mary Ellen
in
DiPetrillo.
Rhode Island. We met in I think it was in Georgia, in Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
Really?
I swear,
Wow.
yeah. And that's how we connected, and then I think that's how I got connected with Funny for Funds, and yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow,
Isn't that great?
That's awesome.
Now, did you know she was going to be there?
I never knew. I didn't even
She
know
didn't know.
her.
She didn't know who she was.
No.
You literally met her there?
I literally met her there. Somebody was like, "There's somebody else here from Rhode Island." I'm like, "What? There's someone else from Rhode Island?"
crazy.
Because there was nobody. I didn't know anybody who did, comedy, clean comedy. I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
I felt so alone. So
See, for me, when I was coming up 20 years ago, clean comedians were like Brian Kiley, who was the head writer on Conan for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Boston comic, and he would show up at the Connection Faneuil Hall when they had the upstairs club.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do that a lot, and like Tuesday, Wednesday night showcase shows, once you got promoted from open mic to those, guys like him would show up, and he would go up there with a notepad with jokes that he was writing for Conan's show when Conan was the 12:30.
did you have him on this show?
Yes.
Oh, I saw that show. It was really good.
And, so all of his jokes were TV jokes.
Mm-hmm.
So they're basically clean
Right.
headline jokes.
Right.
And he would come out and try them out before he would turn them in and everything like that. Brilliantly funny. Great writer and brilliantly funny. And to me, that was clean comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that you say you started in churches, because if when you say that, people might picture in their mind you doing
Church
a lot of
jokes.
stuff about Bible and all this other
didn't.
stuff. And if they go see you right now, they're going to see stand-up comedy. They're going to see a regular comedy, funny set stuff they can identify with. Everyday stuff that's just funny. I
don't do church jokes.
No,
I never did any
I don't
church
want
jokes.
and I don't want
Yeah.
people that don't know you to get that impression just
Yeah.
because we talk about
Yeah.
the church thing. That's not what you do. You do regular stand up. You just don't take it lowbrow like Roman and I do.
Yeah.
But again, each person has to. We talk about this all the time. Is you got to find your voice. You got to find what's funny to you, and you do it, and that's fine as long as it's funny. Do it. To Tom Cotter said that to me once. One of the first times I ever worked with him back in the mid 2000s. I was doing a couple of jokes, and I said, I'm gonna stop doing that joke. And he goes, why? I go, it's kind of hacky. He goes, why do you say it's hacky? I said, doing impressions like that and everything. He goes, I've never heard anybody do a joke like that before. He goes, that's original and it's funny. He goes, people tell you it's hacky because they can't do it. Yeah. He goes, if it's original, it's funny, just do it. Don't worry about it. He goes, don't overthink it. Just as long as he goes, hacky is when you take someone else's joke.
Yeah.
He goes, that's not hacky. That's funny. Just keep doing it. And that gave me a lot of confidence when he said that to me, and I kept doing it. And then when I started working with people like Ace, who did a lot of impressions and did them well, I was like, my impressions were just good enough that you knew who it was, but not good enough that people would say, wow, that sounds just like him. No, not even close.
But like with my bits, like I don't sound exactly like.
Oh, your Dorothy is probably the best I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very nice.
No, seriously, your Dorothy, and I don't know if you've worked it in more. When we were working together a couple of months ago, you were talking about the Jennifer Aniston.
Mm-hmm. I've been working on.
Yeah, you've been working. You were working, trying to come up with stuff then, and working on it. You can sound just like her as well. You sound just like her as well. But your Dorothy, I remember the very first time I ever saw you, and you did that. I was like, holy shit, that's the best Dorothy I've ever heard.
Yeah, I thought it was great. First time I heard it, like every time I hear it, pretty much.
Yeah, I stopped doing my Dorothy after that.
Yeah,
that's
it's
it.
not
Yeah.
even
like yours was off the table.
It's not even close. And when I was asking about the first joke, I remember the first what I thought was original idea that I ever came up with 20 years ago. I did a phone sex bit. Now, phone sex for you kids at home was before internet porn. Oh my gosh. You would dial
before smartphones.
Before smartphones, before internet porn, you would dial a 1-900 number.
And there were records of it. There was, records of it.
Yeah, especially
and then your parents would get a phone bill.
When my father came up to me with his $800 phone bill for $3.99 a minute.
Oh my god!
No, that's not true. That's not true. It was $700, but that's all. Phone sex, you basically call and someone talked dirty to you, and you paid so much per minute for it. And the whole concept of my joke is that there's no phone sex for women. Mm-hmm. There's only phone sex for men because men just need a voice. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Women need something to fantasize about.
Yeah.
And I would do, but
what are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
This was before that commercial existed. But I said, but it's got to be the right voice. And I would do Scarface. I would do Reverend Jim Ignatowski from Taxi. And I said, the only voice you really need, and I would do Sean Connery. Like,
that's great.
Let's play Hunt for Myra, October.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like it, man.
So I would do that, and then I developed into a phone sex bit where Mrs. Doubtfire was a phone sex operator.
Oh my!
And that one would get a really big laugh, and that was my.
Can you do Mrs. Doubtfire?
That's right, dear. There you go. Oh, look at you, dear. That's right. We pumped out those jokes, didn't we, dear? Oh, I love that. Click your ruby heels, dear. There you go. All right.
That's great.
I just
that movie was just something, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I worshipped Robin Williams. He was my
great.
All-time favorite hero. That anybody that can make you laugh as hard as he made me laugh and cry like he made you cry in some of his movies. To me, that's an unbelievable talent.
I first saw him on Mork and Mindy. That's when I first discovered Robin Williams.
Oh,
and then I found out he was a stand-up, and I was like, wow.
His first album, what was the name of it?
Oh, Jesus.
Reality, what a concept.
Now, I say that a lot, too. I don't know. I say Jesus a lot, and I shouldn't.
To this day.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that.
I shouldn't.
To this day.
Using the Lord's name.
I can't.
I know.
I can't do it. There's Eagles, one of my all-time favorite bands. In Life in the Fast Lane, they say, gee damn. And I say, gosh darn, when I sing the song, because I can't bring myself to do it because that guilt kicks in, because that was drilled into me growing up so much about that's one of those things. And when somebody says it too much around me, when they're like, Jesus. I go, can you tone it down, please?
It's usually people that don't even believe in them.
No.
See, I've turned it to G's because when I was growing up,
whiz.
like
You could do it.
I go, jeez.
When I was a kid, we all said Jeezum Crow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See, I was always
Remember
raised
that?
on-
Jeezum Crow.
when my mom was mad at me,
Because no one would have any idea what you meant by that.
she would use the middle name, the middle initial.
I didn't know
Jesus H. Christ.
Oh, yeah.
So that's when she was mad. That's how I knew. Like,
H?
all right, she's.
I
don't know.
didn't even
I
know
don't
he
even
had a middle name.
I don't know if it is a
Henry?
middle name, but that's
Jesus
that's how I
Henry
knew-
Christ, get in here for
Jesus
dinner.
H. Christ. That's how I knew. Like, my mom's mad. I did something stupid or something.
Well,
so,
and the other one people would always yell all the time is like, Jesus, Joseph, and Mary.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's another one.
That sounded Irish.
Jesus, Joseph, and Mary.
yeah. That was the bourbon talking right there.
We're not drinking
Bourbon
Irish
accent.
whiskey.
Yeah.
That's right. Maybe we'll get Scottish. Get past. That's right. It's a great
I
day.
cannot do a Scottish.
Oh, it's great. I love it. Get past.
Can you
Fall
do,
down drunk.
Can you do a British accent?
I can do I haven't done
like
it in a long time.
I do a horrible one.
Well, are you talking about like the Peaky Blinders? Like that type of British accent? Or are you talking about a proper,
No, but it's more
proper British accent?
Why do they always talk like the asking
Oh,
the question?
I don't know.
Got a bit of a pain in me, Gulliver. See, that's a terrible. That's a
We'll
terrible.
ask them the
English
next
accent.
time we're at the Peninsula Club.
Yeah.
Why do we talk this way?
But
And do
but when you-
Svidanya, my friend, we could talk Russian for rest of
Russian.
podcast.
That's right.
Yes, we went to Mar-a-Lago, look at paperwork in basement. What can I tell you? He show us, Orange Man show me everything I know about your nuclear weapons. Do Svidanya, my friends. Welcome, my name is Colonel Fuckoff.
Gosh, he just used a. I used a
swear word, sorry. That's not clean.
Not
what
clean.
about that weird? What is that called when someone talks like this all the time? Do you know, like that thing that they have that they listen to when they talk like that?
You mean Jim Gaffigan?
No,
What are you talking about?
no. What is that called?
Inside voices?
No,
Haunted?
no. Haven't you ever heard of that? It's like a thing.
It's like an
that
ailment?
people listen to, but they talk like in a whisper
No.
all the time. You
I
haven't
don't-
heard of that?
no.
Or they have like weird tapping noises, or you haven't heard of that? What the heck is that called? I don't know. It is a thing, and I will definitely.
It's called Sybil.
No, I'm
one of her
telling you.
25
Somebody
personalities.
was. Let me see. I should Google it.
So, anyway, as many of you know, watching this, Ace is a big fan of the paranormal, and every October, or as we call it here in the Acement, Scottober, Ace dedicates the month to paranormal. And this year we have quite the lineup of guests for that month. And one of the things that we have promised the last couple of years is that we are going to go on a paranormal investigation. We're going to record it, and then we're going to play some of those recordings for you guys here on the podcast.
That's great.
And discuss them. Well,
That's
that
great.
is coming up in 2 weeks. Ace and I are going on an investigation with Rise Up Paranormal.
Are you scared of that?
Beyond imagination. I am shitting my pants now for
That
2 weeks from
freaks
now.
me out.
Now, where are you guys going? Is the location set?
Yep,
Where?
Pain House,
Oh.
which is
That
known
just sounds horrible.
as one of the most active paranormal places in all of
Oh
New
my
England.
gosh, I totally would drive the other way.
So we're going to do an investigation there. I'm going to be mic'd up because they're hoping to get at least audio of me running out of the house screaming, if not video. And Ken DeCosta, who is the founder of Rise Up Paranormal, will be leading the investigation. And in Scottober, we'll have an episode with Ken and our buddy Tom Stewart, who's going on the investigation with us, and we will discuss the investigation. So stay tuned for that, our friends. We also have some other amazing guests coming up very soon. Next week, Jonathan Groff, who is an amazing, not the guy from Hamilton when Ace first gave me the name, I was like, really? The guy from Hamilton? He goes, no, just the same name. This guy has been a head writer and showrunner on shows like Blackish and things like that. He's coming on next week. And then the week after that, I'm very excited. Mitch Stinson is coming on, a very funny Boston comedian who started the same time as me, used to do the same open mics as me. So I'm looking forward to reminiscing with Mitch. So we got some great episodes coming up. So we appreciate you guys tuning in, subscribing, sharing us with friends, and of course the 5-star reviews. You guys got anything coming up?
I'm at Roy Carpenter's Beach tomorrow, and then I got a couple of dates coming up at Headliners in New Hampshire. I'm at the Comedy Park in September.
Nice. Yeah, check out our buddy Bill's club. The comedypark.com. It's in Cranston, Rhode Island. Beautiful new club. I got to do a roast there last Sunday for Grandma Martha. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so
great room.
Yeah, it's a beautiful room. Rhonda, you got anything?
So on Saturday, I'm actually in Connecticut. Salem, Connecticut.
At a campground? Which is
Salem.
Meadow.
That's where I am.
Which
Have
is
you
Meadow
done that?
Campground.
We'll have to talk afterwards. So I'm there, and then what else do I have?
It's a haunted
coming up?
campground. You're
I
going to have fun.
a John Parada show at Spumoni's coming up.
Fun room.
The
Very fun
28th.
room.
And then I'm also going to be doing McHugh's Comedy Club
Up in Portland.
Portsmouth.
I mean.
Yeah. So
At the Roundabout Diner. Great
yes,
food.
The food's so good.
Great food and an awesome fun club. I got to do it in first week in July. I think it was like July 8th, July 9th. That was a fun night, man. Jim McHugh's a great guy, and he runs a great club up there. So if you're in the New Hampshire area, every week he has killer shows up there. Definitely check that out.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for coming. Rhonda, thanks for the scones.
Thanks.
Yes,
and
thank you for the
find
scones.
out,
Delicious.
that's called ASMR. So just see, it's a sensory.
What does
thing.
ASMR stand for?
So it's
Audio sensory.
AS.
Autonomous sensory what is that? Meridian response.
Meridian, yep.
All right, people, break out your Google and figure that shit out.
Autonomous sensory meridian response.
So I'll probably be back on this podcast when Ace has to go somewhere because I'm not usually allowed in the house.
we got to have you back on with Ace and I. So, and
I tell you what, you're one of the better female guests.
I'd put her in the top 7 female guests we've ever had.
Top 7. All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You might even be 6th on that list.
I brought scones, and this is the thanks I get.
Yeah.
Scones.
Right?
Scones, people.
Homemade.
Yeah.
Homemade scones.
Homemade scones.
That are delicious.
Delicious.
But again, thank you so much, and we will talk to you guys next week.